picture, and she's a attractive enough woman. She's got the Fox News look. She's not a blonde. She's a brunette. But anyways, she looks nice. She just got the national celebrity, and she's got as much of a resume as anybody else currently seeking the job.
Well, Dan Kelly actually served on the Wisconsin Supreme Court
For like 3 months, dude.
Oh,
And then he
okay,
got crushed.
but he was there, right? He had incumbency. That's
Kelly
more Supreme Court time than Dorow's got.
He did such a fine job in his 3 months that he got crushed. I really don't see any relevancy to the Dan Kelly candidacy. Dan Kelly's a loser. He's going to lose again. Up until today, I thought the Democrats, the liberals, had a pretty inside path to this seat. Up until today, that opinion has changed. Dom, you keep bringing up the bad analogy. This is just like the carpetbagger Michaels candidacy. Well, you brought him up, and he appeared on an inferior whitey-righty product down the dial earlier today, and our E-Bone did a little bit of hard work.
Oh, we got some of that?
We got just the Scotia sound.
Oh, thank you, Evan. Appreciate it, man.
Now, the greatest difference, I think, from the actions of Dorow, who's got this newfound celebrity, and is she being opportunistic? Yes, she is.
Is she being too opportunistic? Possibly. Could blow back on her, man. You got to be careful. People, according to me, man, you're talking about this parade coming up. The 1 year anniversary. I mean, people died. 60 some more were injured. I mean, this is a devastating attack on the community. I'm not clear that that's the platform I want to come out on.
Justice.
Well, but so who wouldn't have? You know, I'm not clear that now is the time to go and announce your candidacy. Anyway, I mean, that's their choice. That's what they're going to do. I think that could go against her, even for those people who would want to vote for her, because the timing is terrible.
The timing is impeccable. I think you do not read the political tea leaves whatsoever. Let's play your buddy Tim Michaels, though, promoting his own candidacy, Dom. Apparently not money well spent. If you could, E-Bone, play it for the people. This is the extremist gubernatorial GOP candidate from the last loser election. Play cut 1, please.
My wife and I we're devastated. It's the loss is still very raw, but I'll get back to work. I'd like to make some of the money back that I spent, and spent a lot of it.
At one point, he spent $12 million in the primary, my understanding. $8 million. I think this is from some of the tweets. He mentioned he spent $8 million in the general election.
Yes.
And then the host, Weber, said, could you have spent more? Well, in retrospect, but I'm not a bottomless pit.
I'm not a bottomless pit, Jay. A little more on this from Corey Hess. She is a reporter at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. She was live tweeting along with some others like Patrick Marley. Here's what she had to say. Michaels said Donald Trump called him 5 days before the midterm election and decided not to come to Wisconsin because the campaign looks strong. Michaels adds that Tommy Thompson, Reince Priebus, Paul Ryan all told him he was going to win. He blamed Dobbs' decision for a loss to Governor Tony Evers. Regarding Clayfish, Michaels says she's photogenic, but I beat her. He has not spoken to her. This is tough, man. It's raw when you lose. Michaels guesses maybe 1,000 people that supported Clayfish did not support him in the general election. Meanwhile, Michaels said Kevin Nicholson has a bright future in politics, and Tim Ramthun has an amazing group of loyal followers. Yeah, so did Charlie Manson.
Tim Ramthun says his goodbyes to the Wisconsin Assembly in January. Dom, he did his exit interview, air quotes, with WisPolitics. Ramthun looking forward to spending more time with family. 844-967-2789. Let's get to our audience's opinions. People like you, Eileen from Madison. What do you got for us?
Hi, Eileen.
Hi. Yes, about, I don't know her last name, the judge from the trial, the celebrity judge now.
Dorow.
I watched, there were a lot of news clips about the trial. And granted, she handed down the sentence, and she was lucky enough, under the circumstances, to draw this trial. But I was really questioning her strength as a judge because of his actions in the court. He appeared with no clothes on. He ridiculed her. He did all sorts of silly things. And if he was representing himself, he would be saying that he was an attorney. She would never have allowed that from a defense attorney in her courtroom. No other judge would have. So I just think that if you get up some old news clips or the transcripts or something to play, watch the whole thing. Yes, she handed down a great sentence, but that was the extent of it. So
Eileen, I think that's going to be a tough argument to make, though, because I think a lot of people thought how she handled the defendant spoke to her quote unquote judicial temperament. And she was widely complimented, at least on right-wing media. I think it's a tough argument to make. I think to question how she played out the trial, I mean, that is her whole claim to fame. I don't think if it comes to her and a Democratic candidate, I don't think we want to litigate how it is she handed down justice in that trial, because to a lot of people's perception, the end result was justice.
Yeah, good point. And that's it's going to be focused on that. And that's true.
All the ads will be. It's all going to be about that trial.
But I think, Eileen, you make a nice point, because I'm not clear that people will get the nuance. If you run a 30-second ad showing the defendant, half naked in the courtroom, you can say what you want these days. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to put it out there and get people to understand it in the context that it actually happened. You know how the politics are. You know how the ads are, Eileen. You can make anything look bad.
Well, I think every once in a while they should just insert that this person behaved as a clown in her courtroom, and she let him continue to stay there. So I'm eager to see what's going to happen, and I think you're right. She's going to pull a flood of votes on the celebrity issue, and she's getting in just in time. So, okay. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Eileen, thank you for listening. 844-967-2789. Let's sneak a few more callers in, like Mark from the SAC. Mark, appreciate your patience. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Oh, not a problem. Yeah, and I agree. I think I'm agreeing with Dom. I think she behave the way she did? That she had the back of her mind. Well, maybe I can use this to propel myself into make a career out of this for this trial, because any judge would have handed down a sentence like she's handed down to this guy. The circumstances demanded that this guy go to prison for a long time. And the fact that she did not control the courtroom from the onset, allowing this guy to defend himself in the first place, she should have said, we're not going to make a mockery of the law by allowing this guy to defend himself, because that's what he did during the whole trial. I mean, that is she using this case, a tragedy, to use it as celebrity for herself? I mean, that's what comes to my mind. And maybe that's too nuanced. Maybe I'm thinking too deeply about this right here. And maybe she wants to extend the legacy of right-wing politics and her whole Christian dominionist attitude that apparently she came out of Regent University for this, her law degree, that it just disturbs me that we call celebrity, because any judge would have done similar things in this trial, aside from letting him go on like that. But they would have handed down just as tough a sentence. I'm convinced of that.
Mark, I'm not disagreeing with your assessment of the end. The end of the trial was justice handed out thousands of years, I think, for all the injuries, all the death, all the carnage. But the celebrity was hers to garner and has been garnered. And I would say, think about how it worked in the Mandela Barnes and Ron Johnson race. And if you don't think that, let's say it was Everett Mitchell, the nominee, the black judge here from the Madison area, if he wins, you don't think the racial politics are going to fly hot and heavy? Or if it's Protasewicz, you don't think she's going to be cast as, pro low bail, no cash bail, pro letting criminals out on the street? But Judge Dorow, she hands out justice. She's the law and order candidate. Elect her in April. That's the way it's going to play. I'm just saying. 967-2789. Andy from Beaver Dam, you're next. Welcome.
Hey, Andy.
Well, with all due respect to Dom, I think you're right, Trudy, because when I heard earlier this morning or earlier this afternoon that she was announcing tomorrow that she was going to run it, oh crap. I thought, man,
You're right to feel that way, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was looking optimistically at the spring, that whoever the candidate was for the so-called liberal side, should be able to do it, and people don't think it's true that much. I mean, oh yeah, you say name recognition, and I think also, it's just people don't understand what's at stake.
Well, it's interesting, Andy. Remember the Hagedorn-Neubauer race? Hagedorn won by 5,600 votes. And the left's attitude was make it very, very clear that Hagedorn was the conservative in the race. I think it actually probably benefited his campaign. So we're going to have to take a different tact, let's just say. More devil's advocates. We'll take more phone calls on the other side. Carolyn, you're next. Be patient. 844-967-2789.
Run, Forrest, run!
Being a father is an honor, a challenge, a duty, a celebration, and a testimony. I want to be legendary for you because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
Jim Santel for just a few more minutes. As you point out, this is a civil trial, not a criminal trial. You think that the Trump court will end up with the death penalty under New York law?
Letitia James, she's doing this civil case, right? This is a criminal matter.
Oh, it is. So I misunderstood.
It is, yes.
Normally I leave the being wrong to Dom.
Right.
Listen Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for the Devil's Advocates radio show.
I taught for 20 years until I started forgetting my lectures.
Eventually, he had to quit. Getting his early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard, but it gave us time to take control of the situation together.
I can't imagine going through this without him.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Weather brought to you by the Joint Chiropractic of Madison, where Back Friday is back now through the end of November. It's easy. Sign up for a package, get free bonus visits, and start feeling the way you want to. The Joint Chiropractic, convenient, affordable chiropractic care.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered rain showers likely. Lows level off around 22. Westerly winds 20 to 25 miles an hour. Cloudy again tomorrow, highs around 28. Clear skies tomorrow night, lows around 16. Partly cloudy skies Thursday with a high of 36. 47 Friday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 51 degrees.
Think you know politics? Think again. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going back to the lines at 844-967-2789. Carolyn from Madison, Wisconsin. You are up. Welcome, Carolyn. What do you got for us?
Hi, this is Dom.
Yes.
Am I right that Alberta Darling represents you here in the state?
Well, she was the senator in the 8th district where I live, but I wouldn't say she really represents me, Carolyn.
Okay, yeah, all right, Senator. Now, do I hear something about her quitting, or did I miss that part of the show?
She resigned. Her last day will be, I believe, December 1st. So I will not have a sitting senator going forward until this election.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what I mean? I mean, why not, work your term out? And I'm not clear, Carolyn. I mean, perhaps there could be, health issues. I know apparently she battled cancer in the past. And, I don't know what the reasoning is, but, she stepped up to a 4-year term. She ran again and then waited until after this election to decide that she's not going to run. And now we have, no representation in the state Senate for for me and my family and my neighbors.
Carolyn, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. We don't want
Yeah,
representation in the 8th because that creates a super majority for the Republican Senate. So the
Right.
lack of that seat being filled means effectively Republicans can't do any sort of impeachment malfeasance that they were threatening to do about a week before Alberta Darling said that she was retiring on December 1st. Understand that 2/3 majority in the Senate means they could effectively start doing things like impeaching Tony Evers' appointments, let's just say.
Wow.
So I
Yeah,
want
well,
that
thanks.
seat vacant.
Well, I mean, I totally get the strategy on that, and for that, I guess I am thankful, and thank you for a call, Carolyn. But at the cost of not being represented in the state Senate, that is
fine with that.
Of course you are, because it's not you. 844-967-2789.
Really, you would trade a Republican supermajority in the Senate for representation in the 8th?
Yeah, imagine being a citizen of the United States wanting to have your actual elected officials, on the job.
Well,
Jim from Appleton,
assembly members, Deb Andrenka, and who's the really, really good one? She headed up the elections commission.
Janelle Brangen.
Janelle Brangen. She's your assembly.
No, Deb Andreka is my assembly. Janelle Brangen, I think Dan Knodl's the other Republican assembly member. Let's get some more calls in before the top of the hour. Jim from Appleton. Welcome, Jim. What do you got for us?
Hey, Jim.
Okay. Hello, guys. Thanks for taking the call. You keep referring to these people on the far right as conservative. They're not conservative. They're regressive. They want to go back to laws written in 1850.
That's true, Jim. They are very regressive. Is that how we should identify them from now on, Jim? I mean, I don't even know what does a conservative mean anymore. What does it mean to be a Republican anymore, Jim?
I have no idea. I used to be, but no, they're not fiscally conservative.
Nope.
They keep dumping the budget by cutting taxes. They don't want to conserve the environment because they keep people on that refuse to help the environment. Seems to me the only thing they want to conserve are monopolies and corporate money.
And their political power, Jim, right? That's what they're conserving.
Yep. That's about it. So yeah, if if they run the campaign and Dorow gets Republican or conservative nomination, call her what she is. Call her a regressive.
Jim, I like how you think. It's all about messaging, right, Don?
It certainly is.
We keep bringing up Alberta Darling. Our friend John Nichols over at The Nation, the Cap Times, had a little op-ed piece he wrote. State Senator Alberta Darling's decision to leave the Wisconsin legislature after more than 3 decades recalls the end of an era when moderate legislators, some of them genuine centrists, some merely responsible conservatives, were major players in the Republican Party. No, Darling did not finish her tenure as a moderate in any sense of the word, a political careerist who bent to the partisan pressures that have transformed her party. Darling has in recent years been every bit as rigidly right-wing as her fellow Senate Republicans. She began on a different note. Elected initially to the state assembly in 1990 during Governor Tommy Thompson's first term, Darling was elected in 1992 to represent Milwaukee's North Shore suburbs in the Senate at a time when the Bushes, Doles, and people like Jack Kemp were major players in the GOP. Darling outlasted them all, Dom, establishing herself as one of the most tenured of the state's many long-tenured politicians. And when politicians who have clung for decades to gerrymandered legislative seats finally surrendered their positions, other politicians say nice things about them. And so Darling's departure inspired plaudits. Democratic Governor Tony Evers, the most gracious man to serve as the state's chief executive since Republican Warren Knowles in the 60s, observed that Darling had earned the respect of colleagues on both sides of the aisle because she's a diligent leader who's always carried herself with poise, class, and grace. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, the boss of the Republican-controlled legislature, hailed Darling as a true leader and a role model. That's what you say about her, right, Tom?
No.
And Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu, Republican from Ootsburg, named Darling a fundamental part of this caucus. Unfortunately, LeMahieu's description of Darling was most apt. Though Darling began her career with great promise, she ended it as a predictable partisan who did the bidding of her caucus, no matter how absurd the demands became. Want to pick up some of this?
Yeah, man. Darling first became a senator in the glory days of the Wisconsin Republican Party, when under Thompson's leadership, the GOP really was the big tent that Ronald Reagan imagined when he said, "We must keep our doors open," offering our party as the only practical answer for those who overall are individualists. And because this is the great common denominator, this dedication to the belief in man's aspirations as an individual, we cannot offer them a narrow sectarian party in which all must swear allegiance to prescribed commandments. Reagan, the great communicator, chose the right words, but it was Thompson who put them into practice, pushing the boundaries of the Republican Party outward, so that in 1994, he won re-election with 67% of the vote, even carrying reliably Democratic Milwaukee County, where Darling was one of his chief supporters. Republicans won narrow control of the state assembly and Senate that year, and they did so honestly, not as the result of a crude gerrymander that assured them wins, even when their candidates and their policies were unpopular. The party and its candidates made a compelling case for their victories. This was the heyday of the Republican women in the Senate, when Mary Panzer, a future majority leader, Carol Roessler, Joanne Hulsman, and Peggy Rosenwig were, with Darling, rising stars in the chamber. Most of them were relatively moderate. Several, though not all, were supporters of reproductive rights. But the abortion issue was becoming a tenuous one for Republicans who took a pro-choice stance. State Senator Barbara Lorman, a well-regarded Republican moderate from Fort Atkinson, was defeated in a bitter 1994 primary by a young right-wing candidate named Scott Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, now the congressman from Wisconsin's 5th, vigorously attacked Lorman for her support of women's right to choose. It was a harbinger of things to come. But when let's conclude the piece here by John Nichols at the Cap Times. So it was that Alberta Darling finished her career not as an innovative leader, but as an entirely predictable loyalist to a party that had abandoned any pretense of moderation.
You skipped the fact that she used to be on the Planned Parenthood board. Things changed, though.
Yes.
More devils.
Do you work from home, run a business, a nonprofit, or just need to organize? If so, don't miss Jackson Office Supplies going on a business sale now, where all items are 70 to 80% off. Can't miss deals on essential desktop items, including label writers, 3-hole punches, pens, markers, and ergonomic accessories. Great brands, too, like Eldon, Rogers, Rubbermaid, Dymo, and more. Sale starts now at Jackson Office Supplies, 4622 Femright Drive, Madison. 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, or call 608-628-4551.
When it comes to computers, Madison Computer Works is known for our exceptional service and support and a great selection of new and used computers as well. Did you know we also offer the same great computer support without bringing your computer in for repair? With our computer care plans, our friendly and knowledgeable techs can fix most of your computer issues and help you with computer problems remotely without needing an on-site visit. Call Madison Computer Works today at 608-231-8000. Madison Computer Works.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas.
Goalkeeper in the 38th minute. President Biden informed the crowd in Michigan about the victory in Qatar.
When I spoke to the coach and the players, I said, "You can do this." They went, they did it. God love them.
Has been taken to a hospital with an abdominal injury. President Biden met earlier at the White House with congressional leaders about his goals through the end of the year. There is a possibility of a freight rail strike next month, as well as a government shutdown. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy thinks Congress will pass a bill averting the rail strike.
But it's unfortunate that this is how we're running our economy today. This has all got to stop and change. We need an economy that is strong. If you're passing a bill to force the rail workers to work, How strong is your economy?
Andrew Warren, a Florida prosecutor suspended by Governor Ron DeSantis, opened his federal civil trial against the governor with testimony that alleged his removal was based on his personal political positions on abortion and transgender rights. Chinese universities are sending students home. Police are fanning out in Beijing and Shanghai to prevent more protest. It comes after crowds angered by severe antivirus restrictions call for leader Xi Jinping to resign. A Walmart employee who survived the mass shooting at a store in Virginia filed a $50 million lawsuit against the company. Employee Donna Priolu claims in her lawsuit Walmart continued to employ the shooter, who had known propensities for violence, threats, and strange behavior. Stocks finished mixed, the Dow up 3 points. This is AP News.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovites.
Looking for the perfect gift? Get him a shirt from Untuck It. Now get up to 50% off at the Cyber Monday sale and even deeper discounts on some of our favorite styles happening now at Untuck It. Untuck It shirts are designed to be worn untucked. They're the easiest way to keep them looking sharp and feeling comfortable. You can't go wrong with a gift of their super soft flannels and wrinkle-free shirts. So don't miss the Cyber Monday sale on now at your nearest Untuck It store or at untuckit.com. Untuck It, shirts designed to be worn.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw The Perfect House. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Brian, how many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them.
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So
you need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of the Jade Monkey. Come to the Monkey and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of the Jade Monkey and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
You wanted information as election results rolled in, and the Civic Media network of radio stations delivered it live.
I was so impressed with your coverage. And I listened to you guys, and I got all the coverage. It was amazing.
Civic Media, the only network with news reporters and show hosts stationed across Wisconsin, sharing political insight not found anywhere else. Elections or anytime, we are here for you, your local Civic Media radio stations, and streaming on the Civic Media app. You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too? And if you miss a show or game, find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our website, civicmedia.us.
For Civic Media, I'm Terry Bell with this news. A federal judge is ordering Enbridge Energy and Wisconsin's Bad River Tribe to submit a joint proposal by December 17th to shut down oil and gas line 5 to avoid it from rupturing. Wisconsin Public Radio reports bank erosion on the Bad River is threatening to expose the line, which could potentially spill 20,000 gallons of liquid fuel into the water. Brett Favre wants a judge to let him out of a lawsuit over Mississippi's misspent welfare money. Favre's lawyers say this week the Mississippi Department of Human Services is trying to blame the former Packers star for how it mismanaged millions of dollars years ago. Favre has not been charged, but evidence shows he knew millions of dollars he was paid for speeches was tied to the state's welfare program. In sports, Badger men's basketball hosts Wake Forest tonight. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The happier happy hour. Can it also be a terrible Tuesday all at once?
Sure, why not? We can do whatever we want.
Dominic, we've got a verdict, breaking verdict. The Oath Keepers, guilty, at least 2 guilties. Seditious conspiracy, the charge. And that's the charge I'd really like to see Donald Trump go down for. Something associated with the January 6th. But instead, I got a prediction.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
Despite the fact the man's entertaining Nazis for Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago, I think he is still your GOP frontrunner. He will be your Republican nominee, and the craven Republican Party will come crawling back to him. So all this so-called boldness and the separation from Trump, that's just for show. Because when the rubber hits the road, and there's like 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, and he starts chopping at Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump's going to win the primaries. He's going to run the table. He's going to, win like 35% in Iowa and then like 35% New Hampshire. And pretty soon, it's just going to be the Trump show again. So mark my words.
It's still the Trump show, Crudy. But let me ask you, do you think Donald Trump has more or less support today than he did 1 year ago today?
Less.
And do you think he's going to have more or less support 1 year from now than he does today?
1 year from now would make it November. Yes, I think he will have the perception of power because I think the polling will show that he is leading the polls going into Iowa.
So you see zero headwind for this, for instance, breaking news, the E. Jean Carroll rape case. Will be in April 10th of 2023. You think that particular case, just that one, or any of the multitude of other cases that Trump's facing right now, that will not have, number one, he will be found not guilty, or they'll still be going on. It will have zero impact on his quote unquote effort to run for president. You think there's no value to those things?
I think he was an alleged rapist before they made him the nominee in 16 and 2020. So if you're talking about whether or not it matters to the Republican base, apparently not. You know what I'm saying? Those evangelicals, he's their vessel. He's the fallen.
I mean, have you seen any of the recent articles? The evangelicals have been kind of pulled away from Trump. Yes, that's what they say.
I don't believe it, Dom, because until there's a new king, he's the king. Until there's a new king of the Republican Party, and they knock him off the mountain that is that craven, destitute party. I mean, they still love him. The base still loves Trump. You can talk about the donor class. You can talk about the those that are on the know. What the hell did they know? Donald Trump became the president. Not the left, not the right. Nobody saw him coming. So you're going to tell me now they know? I'm telling you this, Tom.
Yes, I think now they know.
So who, if it's not Donald Trump, who's your Republican nominee? I'm not saying he's winning the presidency. I'm not saying it's not a ridiculous statement about the Republican Party and the state of those that would support this party at this late hour. But unless this guy's sitting behind bars, he is your Republican nominee.
Oh, now you're qualifying it. Okay, well, yeah, no doubt.
Not gonna get his ass in jail between now and the Iowa caucuses. So, good luck with that. But that's basically January of 2024. He will be the winner of the Iowa caucuses, the Republican version thereof, because I don't think the Democrats are going back to Iowa this year, but the Republicans are, and Trump's going to win. And then he's going to win probably New Hampshire. And he's going to be on the roll, dude.
Come on, man. You sound so confident, man. I wish I wish I could believe what you're selling. I just don't.
Show me another path for another Republican.
But there's too many variables, Crudy. You are totally discounting all the variables that we know, let alone the unknown variables for the next, 13, 14 months?
Set aside all the variables.
You can't set aside the variables, man.
You can't quantify what those variables are yet, because they're all hypotheticals.
They're not. They're not hypotheticals. There's ongoing criminal investigations on multiple fronts against Trump and his organization, man. I mean, what are you talking about? Tony Ornato, the Secret Service dude, his buddy at the Secret Service, testified for like 5 hours today in front of the J6 committee. Kellyanne Conway went voluntarily, didn't take the fifth yesterday. These are still active, ongoing investigations. That's just the J6 part, man. I mean, Stuart Rhodes guilty of seditious conspiracy. I mean, that's today. You don't think there's going to be any movement on any of these other cases that are continually, as we speak, every day, squeezing closer and closer to Donald Trump specifically?
Dominic, I'm going to speak to our Madison audience for just a minute. Evan, thanks for flagging this. Police are searching for a suspect in a State Street shooting, and the public is being asked to avoid the State Street area of Madison. A shooting, at least one person injured at the shooting. One person is hurt after a shooting on State Street Tuesday afternoon, and police still searching for a suspect. Officers responded just after 3:30 in the 100 block of State Street. The scene is still very active, and police are asking the public to avoid the area. That reporting according to NBC 15 here in Madison. Avoid the State Street area. Be safe out there. If you're leaving the office, keep your wits about you. But Dominic, sorry to interrupt your thought. I think it's a valid thought. I think I'm hearing you. I hear you say these things, and I know you believe them.
Well, and I know you believe what you're saying. I just, in order to go down that road, and I get it, but you have to think that all these other things will have zero impact. Number one, on Trump's ability to run for office. Trump's or his supporters or those who would fund him, that this is going to maintain as it is right now. And I just don't think it's going to be the case.
You understand how these primaries work, these winner take all Republican primaries. So whoever gets 30% is probably going to get all the votes, basically all the electoral votes, if you will, towards the nomination. And if he's piling them up, guess what? People want to back a winner. And Donald Trump's been the president. And Ron DeSantis is not going to look good walking around Iowa in those white boots, man. I'm just telling you. And Ron DeSantis, when Donald Trump turns the whirlwind, the pain upon him, Ron DeSantis is so thin-skinned. He's a wannabe Nazi. You know what I mean? He wants to be a Nazi. He so desperately wants to be, but he's not a courageous man. He's smarter than Trump, but he doesn't have the courage to stand up to Trump. And he is going to wither before Trump. And once they see how weak DeSantis is compared with Trump, I mean, sadly.
But weakness, Donald Trump's shtick is stale. Man, we've seen the show before. We're numb to it, man. So it's not going to he's not going to get the free media. The only media he's going to get is you think they're going to back the winner if his company is convicted of $250 million fraud? Is that winning for you? If E. Jean Carroll's rape case comes back and he's guilty, is that winning? If he's brought up on charges of seditious conspiracy by special counsel Jack Smith, a la Stuart Rhodes from the Oath Keepers, is that winning, Crudy? I mean, we can go on and on.
To his perception, and when you look at the reaction of the Republican base, look at the search of Mar-a-Lago. They rallied to Trump. They rallied to Trump.
Who rallied to Trump?
Guys like Ron DeSantis came out, that is so bad what they're doing to our cult leader, Mr. Trump. Even DeSantis went sucking into there. I mean, dude, when this guy gets to play the victim card, and let's not forget, that's Donald Trump's MO. He plays the victim card. I'm being persecuted. Look at what they're doing to me because I am your choice. They're trying to silence you. That's how he plays it.
Yes,
and
he
it
always
plays
plays
in Des Moines, dude. I was there in October of last year when the guy had 45,000. Ron DeSantis couldn't turn out 4,500 in Des Moines.
It won't play in Des Moines if he's charged with taking these documents, man. It's not going to play, man. I mean, I know it's a paper crime to you. We still don't know what happened to lots of those documents.
If it's a paper crime to me, what do you think his supporters think it is? They think it's more persecution from the. I mean, this guy survived 2 impeachments, almost won re-election. You know what I'm saying? 21,000 votes in the state of Wisconsin. He wasn't exactly a runaway here. He's still fighting over,
Yeah,
like,
and was he? Were there criminal investigations going into electioneering when you call 11,000? And all I need is 11,780 votes. Was that going on back then? No. Was there a $250 million fraud case in the state of New York? No. Was there a criminal charge in Manhattan against the Trump organization? No. These things are all going on right now. And to think that as the time passes, that nothing will change or that he'll just walk away from them all, given what we've seen, convictions today, Oath Keepers, seditious conspiracy, pretty good for the DOJ. Apparently some people are buying it. Well, what was Trump's role in all that? What was Roger Stone's role in all that? This is still going on. We still don't know. We still don't have the info. We need the info. So I don't think that, 18 or 12 or 16 months from now, we're going to be living in the same political situation. I mean, we certainly weren't 18 months ago. And 18 months from now is not going to be the same as it is today.
all the man has to do is survive till he gets the RNC in Milwaukee, and he's your nominee, right?
Oh, I forgot about that. You had to bring that up, didn't you?
The RNC is coming to your town, baby. Donald Trump will be anointed the king of the cult again because no one can knock the king off the mountain. He's got too much notoriety, too much celebrity. He might be a stale act, but he's the best act the Republican Party have.
That's terrible.
Terrible. That will probably convince Joe Biden he's the best alternative, right? Because if Trump's running, Biden's all in. Come back with us. Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. Always appreciate your opinions more than Dom's at 844-967-2789.
As we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is,
so I don't have any clue of what he's talking about.
Morning, Mama. How you feeling?
Great, and I'm ready for you today.
I'm checking in on you. Morning meditation?
Check.
Dressed and ready to work out?
Check.
Check your blood pressure yet?
And check.
Boom! Great job, Mom. And about those gold earrings?
No, ma'am.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Monitor your blood pressure daily and help each other stay motivated. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's called up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world that we're invading Russia with amphibious troops? Come on, Trump. I mean, and I want to hear fine Trumpsters that want to defend that crap. You know, he's a little late for the early bird buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius. Then I got some land I'd like to sell you outside of Fukushima.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Plenty of people start something great in their 40s and 50s. Getting your retirement savings on track is no different. Go to aceyourretirement.org, and in 3 minutes, you'll get personalized tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Weather brought to you by the Joint Chiropractic of Madison, where it's time for Black Friday specials. Start a package before the end of November and get free bonus visits to use as you want. Walk-in appointments and extended hours to match your schedule at the Joint Chiropractic, Madison and Pittsburgh.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered rain showers likely. Lows level off around 22. Westerly winds 20 to 25 miles an hour. Cloudy again tomorrow, highs around 28. Clear skies tomorrow night, lows around 16. Partly cloudy skies Thursday with a high of 36. 47 Friday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 50 degrees.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open for your take, as always, at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, can I also encourage the audience? Use the Civic Media app. That's what the real patriots do. You know, right now I'm watching. There's a guy listing in Australia. Someone's listing in the United Kingdom, the southern part. I hear that's the good part. And then all across the great United States, and of course in the state of Wisconsin, lots of listeners to this fine program, Dom. They love us. You know, we're kind of a big deal.
Where do you get the Civic Media app, Crudy?
You can get it anywhere where you get apps. Here's the best part. It's free. It doesn't cost you nothing. Dom's favorite price. Free.
Free. If it's free, it's for me, and I'll take 3.
And give them to all your family. I mean, think about that. All your Christmas giving is this Civic Media app. Really, kids, just get it for your parents. They will appreciate it. They don't know how much it costs. They can't get to the app store. You just get it for them. Say, Mom, Dad, you got your Badger Sports. You got a little country music. You got the greatest radio show ever each afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. Devil's Advocates, I mean, if you're not aware. And all the other fine programs right here on the Civic Media Worldwide Network. So do it for me and Santa Claus. Santa wants you to do it too. He's real.
Santa is real. I heard that.
Santa is real, but you don't believe in Jesus.
I was so confused.
Celebrate, man.
Come on, man. We gotta mess with the kid's mind. You know, Jesus and Santa. It made 0 sense to me when I was growing up. I was singing all these songs, but what about is Jesus Santa? I just didn't get it. And then South Park came along and pointed it out for me that Jesus died for Santa.
Now I'm wanting to turn our attention. Not that Santa bashing isn't a great topic. Militia boss faces 20 years for January 6th sedition.
Whew.
What oath? The headliner here at the Daily Beast, Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes has been convicted of seditious conspiracy for planning an armed rebellion in an attempt to stop the electoral certification of Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election victory over Donald Trump. Rhodes, along with one other member of the far-right militia, were found guilty on Tuesday of the rare Civil War era charge in the most significant trial yet over the January 6th insurrection. The verdict, which was delivered by a D.C. federal jury in 3 days, marks the biggest prosecutorial win in almost 2-year investigation. Why aren't we getting more convictions quicker? A almost 2-year investigation into how a MAGA mob stormed the U.S. Capitol and forced dozens of elected officials into hiding for hours, leaving bloodshed in their wake. Now the founder of the far-right militia faces up to 20 years behind bars on the sedition conviction alone.
Oof.
Yeah. Should get a lot more than that, to my opinion, Dom. Kelly Meggs, a leader of the Florida Oath Keepers chapter, was also found guilty of seditious conspiracy. Their co-defendants, Thomas Caldwell, a retired naval intelligence officer, member Kenneth Harrelson, and Jessica Watkins, who led an Ohio militia group, were found not guilty of the most serious charge, but every defendant was convicted of obstruction of an official proceeding of Congress, which itself carries up to 20 years in prison.
Cody Watkins was also convicted of civil disorder after she admitted she helped push law enforcement officers inside the Capitol. Rhodes, along with 2 others, was acquitted of conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. The militia leader was also found not guilty of conspiracy to prevent an officer from discharging their duties. After the verdict was read, Rhodes' son took to Twitter to respond to the conviction by posting a link to a YouTube video titled, "Happy New Year to You in Jail." So much weight is off now. Dakota Adams, who along with his mother and siblings
hilarious.
previously described attempting to escape an abusive life at home, with Rhodes added another tweet. Over the last month, prosecutors argued that unlike hundreds of other Capitol rioters who falsely believed the 2020 election was stolen from Trump, Rhodes and his fellow Oath Keepers carefully plotted to subvert democracy. While Rhodes did not enter the building, prosecutors said he surveyed his troops, quote unquote, during the riot, directing their positions from afar like a general. The prosecutor showed jurors text messages and audio recordings to argue that the Oath Keepers began planning to block the results of the 2020 election days after Biden was declared the victor. At the time, Rhodes said, "We're not getting out of this without a fight. Let's do it smart. Let's do it while President Trump is still commander-in-chief." A prosecutor said the desire to fight only grew as the group stockpiled weapons, coordinated meetups, and even planned on how January 6th would pan out. Oof. Of the 5 Oath Keepers to stand trial, Rhodes, Watkins, and Caldwell made the decision to testify in their own defense. Caldwell insisted his comments on private signal groups, including a threat to former Vice President Mike Pence, were simply words, and he had no intent to cause any harm during the insurrection. Rhodes took a different approach, choosing to throw his fellow Oath Keepers under the bus for their breach of the Capitol. "I think it was stupid to go into the Capitol. 1, because it wasn't our mission," Rose told jurors, and 2, it opened the door for our political enemies to persecute us, and that's what happened, and here we are.
844-967-2789. Shouldn't be a shocker, Dom. Guilty. What, guilty like 5 times?
Seditious conspiracy, and the other charge too, also carrying an up to 20-year charge. Good, and this is good for the DOJ. This is good for justice, and let's hope. And what happens now, right? So, and now that he's been found guilty, can he play ball at all? Can he roll up on Roger Stone? Can he roll up on anything else? Is there anything for Rhodes to offer now that he's looking at 20 plus years, the rest of his life, presumably in prison?
Dominic, some more breaking news on the Trump legal front. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. on Monday said that Donald Trump does not have absolute immunity, as the former president claimed he should in response to a lawsuit in its early stages related to Trump's actions around, wait for it, Dom, the 2020 presidential election. Civil rights groups have sued Trump for trying to disenfranchise voters, while Trump lawyers argue he can't be held liable in civil lawsuits because of immunity around the presidency. Judge Emmett Sullivan of the D.C. District Court on Monday disagreed. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Your phone calls could be next. 844-967-2789.
This council has no hesitation in proclaiming you all guilty.
Right to jail, right away.
Here we are, the young contender, scrappy, controversial, has an impressive reach. Devil Radio 92.7.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
Salvatore's Tomato Pies, home of Madison's best farm-to-table pizza, is hiring. We are seeking line cooks, prep cooks, dishwashers, pizza makers, bartenders, servers, delivery drivers, and hosts. Sal's offers great pay, free shift meals, paid time off, and health insurance available for those working 30 hours a week. Students are welcome too. Positions available at all locations, Madison, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Stop into any location for an immediate interview or apply online at Salvatore's Tomato Pies.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes has been convicted of seditious conspiracy for a violent plot to overturn President Biden's victory in the 2020 election. Prosecutors accused Rhodes of leading a plot to wage an armed rebellion to stop the transfer of power, which culminated in the January 6, 2021 storming of the U.S. Capitol. Chinese authorities have eased some controls after demonstrations in at least 8 mainland cities in Hong Kong against zero COVID restrictions. Still, Beijing is showing no sign of backing off the strategy, and police were out in force today. There was no word of further protests. Games watching in New York as Christian Pulisic scored the game's only goal while crashing headfirst into Iran's goalkeeper. The United States advanced to the knockout rounds of the World Cup with a 1-0 win. U.S. Soccer says Pulisic was taken to a hospital after the game for an abdominal scan. The U.S. plays Netherlands on Saturday. I'm Ben Thomas.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovites.
Looking for the perfect gift? Get him a shirt from Untuck It. Now get up to 50% off at the Cyber Monday sale and even deeper discounts on some of our favorite styles happening now at Untuck It. Untuck It shirts are designed to be worn untucked. They're the easiest way to keep them looking sharp and feeling comfortable. You can't go wrong with a gift of their super soft flannels and wrinkle-free shirts. So don't miss the Cyber Monday sale on now at your nearest Untuck It store or at untuckit.com. Untuck It, shirts designed to be worn.
This is Pat Kreitlow from Up North News Radio. With the election behind us, we've been able to relax a little bit and talk about matters only slightly less stressful than politics, like our football teams. The Packers are facing a change in quarterbacks, and the Badgers are changing coaches again, but not without some appreciation for the guy who got thrust into the job temporarily.
I've been watching Jim Leonard. You probably have too, since he was a player. He is that story. He's that kid from small town Wisconsin who walks on and just puts his entire heart into it. I don't know what's going to happen with Jim Leonard. I actually ran into him at the Great Dane on Friday night before the game, and it was so cool to be able to say, just thanks for being the person that you are.
Man, look at you, just rubbing elbows with high football society here. Kristen Lyerly also helped us cover the day's headlines, which included giving Donald Trump some free advice. Stop dining with Nazis. Catch us on the radio weekdays, 6 to 8 a.m. online at upnorthnews.wi.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. A terrible Tuesday, a happier happy hour. You're listening to it, and we've got lots of breaking news, seditious conspiracy convictions. Also, we've got a new Supreme Court justice candidate in the state of Wisconsin, Jennifer Dorow. She's the one, from the Waukesha Parade trial. And Dom, I understand a historic vote in the U.S. Senate. You got this one?
I do. Political reporting. The Senate passed legislation Tuesday to enshrine same-sex marriage protections in federal law, bringing the bill a critical step closer to President Joe Biden's desk. Senators spent months negotiating, adding language to the bill related to religious liberty, a bid to attract the necessary 10 GOP votes to break a filibuster. The legislation still needs to clear the House, a likely easy lift since a previous version was approved by nearly 50 House Republicans and all Democrats. All the 12 Republicans voted with all Democrats to support the bill. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer indicated Tuesday that the House would take up the Senate version as soon as next week. The legislation led by Senators Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, woo! Susan Collins, Rob Portman, Kristen Sinema from Arizona, and Tom Tillis from North Carolina would ensure that federal government recognizes a same-sex marriage even if a couple moves to a state that doesn't do so. In addition, the bill would repeal the Defense of Marriage Act, which defined marriage as between a man and a woman, and pass the Senate by an overwhelming margin in 1996. Sinema said this is something that many people in the LGBT community would not have expected just a decade ago. It really shows how much has changed in our country. It builds off years and years of work of folks who have been talking for decades about ensuring that all couples have the same protections, also making sure that we're respecting all Americans' religious freedoms.
844-967-2789. Your voice heard here on the Devil's Advocates. Brett from Eureka, California. How you doing, man?
Hey, Brett.
Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going there?
Good.
Yeah, I'm in a celebratory mood today after hearing the news of Mr. Rhodes heading to heading upriver. It's great news.
Happy New Year in jail, Dad.
So it makes me wonder, is this going to maybe make a certain pair of tighty whities down in Florida maybe not fit as well this evening as they maybe fit this morning? I got to think that a seditious conspiracy conviction makes everybody a little bit more nervous at the top, don't you think?
You know, that's the really interesting part, Britt. We don't really know what the connection is from the Oath Keeper ring up to the top of the stinky fish, right? We know Trump wanted the mob, but was he also pushing the buttons, or was that, you know, sort of a side project of, let's say, Roger Stone? And, you know, Stone's already been pardoned once, right? So Stone got his get out of jail free card. But I think in probability, Stone is the linchpin between whether or not Trump is connected to the actual on the ground actions, the apparently directed actions of seditious conspiracy, now convicted.
Correct.
Yeah,
it sounds like more pins need to fall before we'll know exactly what's going on. But it looks like it was a well placed bowling ball right down the lane to take out this Rhodes guy. So I hope we can, you know, I hope more pins will fall and maybe they can get the kingpin if we're lucky. We'll see.
Britt, I like what you did there with your bowling analogies. I just hope we didn't hit the top pin, the head pin, and we didn't leave a 7-10 split, and Donald Trump waddles right through.
Well, you can't knock them all down till you knock one down. A little bit from the reporting on Rhodes's conviction at the Washington Post. Though prosecutors sought to prove only that Rhodes plotted with co-defendants to obstruct the presidential transition, both sides acknowledged that he was in contact with Stone, Ali Alexander, and Flynn during the post-election period. Oath Keepers provided them with bodyguards and communicated in a Friends of Stone encrypted group chat ahead of January 6th. So it's already known that there's been communication and they were, you know, together many times prior to this. So to what degree, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see as more and more of this unfolds. But certainly a great development, guilty of seditious conspiracy, Rhodes and one other, and all five guilty on other charges, other felonies as well.
Dominic, I think it's also interesting to note that January 6th committee still interviewing witnesses like Kellyanne Conway, the former, she was the campaign chair, the only one that hasn't gone to prison yet. And also chief of staff or press communications director. I forget her official role and title. But she apparently gave hours worth of testimony today to the January 6th committee. And my understanding is, Dom, because the new, GOP controlled Congress, where Jim Jordan might run the Judiciary Committee over on the House side, he was going to cherry pick out some exonerating testimony and stuff. Apparently, the January 6th committee intends to release all of the evidence collected between now and the end of the year. So, a little Christmas reading for you.
Well, and didn't also the Congress get Trump's taxes? So they better get on that as well. Yeah, Kellyanne Conway testified yesterday for about 5 hours, and Tony Ornato, he testified today. He's the Secret Service guy who went over to the political side. You remember they lost all their messages. Weird how that happened. They had this upgrade, after the worst attack on the Capitol ever, or at least since the Civil War, and they don't have any messages. They don't have any of this information. Of course, very, very concerning. But Ornato, Tony Ornato, again, he was the one apparently who told Cassidy Hutchinson, when she testified, that Donald Trump attacked the Secret Service because it wouldn't drive him to the Capitol so he could lead his troops into whatever jackassery he was trying to prove that day.
844-967-2789. And Ross, I'm taking your call now, but then I got a really juicy story for you. Donald Trump confessed. Ross from Middleton, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Ross.
Hey, you guys. First, a compliment on the radio stations. I can drive from Soldiers Grove in Crawford County listening to WRCE, and I can get all the way to either Dodgeville or Spring Green and have it on my radio, I just think it's really cool.
Then you got to flip over to the TTN signal, baby.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I love it. I just love it that I can pick it up on my radio when I'm working, around the house and stuff. It's cool. So just a kind of a rhetorical question and then a comment about this upcoming Supreme Court. The question is, where is Tim Michaels now? Is he here in Wisconsin or is he back in Connecticut? But the thing I wanted to talk about with the Supreme Court is this Dorow. Everybody's kind of like wanting to build her up as like having done a great job, and I would post it as she did her job. There was nothing overly spectacular. It's just that the court got so much attention, the case got so much attention, so it comes across. She did a regular job. She did her job, what she's supposed to do. But I think her record on, maybe it might be her far right religious views. I think that just has to be played up. And then with the turnout, the Republicans got, they didn't do as well as they thought they were going to do, and it was because of young people getting out, a bunch of other people, and I think a lot of it had to do with abortion. So if this Supreme Court election in April can be turned into a ballot or a thing on abortion, I think that this Dorow can be beat. And then I'm imagining it'll probably be, what is her name, Protashevitz. I guess there's another woman named Mitchell, but I think if it's just about abortion, I think that she's beatable.
Well, it's an interesting point, Ross. I hope you're right, man. I hope it is a motivating factor for young voters, because historically, that's the problem with the Democratic base. We're great in a presidential year when we got Barack Obama on the top of the ticket, or maybe even in a midterm year when abortion's on the ballot. But do the kids know there's a spring election coming up? Primary in February and a general in April? I'm not clear.
It's our job. It's our job, Crudy, to make them understand that this never ends, right? I mean, self-governance is like breathing. You got to do it. It doesn't just happen for you. You have to put an effort into self-governance. And if you young kids don't get out there and do it, well, then you got people like Michaels out there going to do it for you.
I think I encourage the young people before, put the civic media app on mom and dad's phone for Christmas. Tell them it's their gift. It didn't cost you anything, but also I would say put it on your young adults' phones. They'll love you for it. Once they find it, they'll be like, what's this? And then they'll hear it.
I had no idea. And to Ross's point, I mean, I think obviously abortion is still going to be, an issue come February and April. This will not be settled and rectified between now and then. So absolutely, abortion is still on the ballot.
Well, and the pathway to the Wisconsin Supreme Court also leads to the balance of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And I'm less clear on which specific lawsuits may make it up all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But the abortion issue, the challenge on the 1849 law by Josh Call and Tony Evers, presumably that's going to hit the Wisconsin Supreme Court, whether or not that law can be invalidated. Above and beyond that, you've got issues like, let's say, the very partisan gerrymandering of the state legislative maps. Let's say the courts ruled, and I'm saying this for our conservative friends, and someone said, there aren't conservatives. Yeah, there are. They're listening right now. Bill in Muscatine, he's listening on WRCE. I feel quite confident. Or the Civic Media app if he's a real patriot. But what I would say, Dom, is conservatives should care about their representation as well. And currently, the way we do it is the Republicans bake the legislative majority to the point where they don't care about you. They don't care about you. The issues that are important to Wisconsin voters aren't important to the donors that fund the very gerrymandered Republicans here in the state of Wisconsin. They stopped caring about you when it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're more beholden to Donald Trump in Florida than the voters here in Wisconsin. So if you want to change that, you have to understand the only change formula is through the balance of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And that's not supporting the most cause celeb candidate. Apparently that'll be Jennifer Dorow when she jumps in tomorrow.
844-967-2789.
That's what's going to happen, man. I'm just telling you, I'm a pragmatic sort.
You are, and there's certainly, that could come to fruition. There's no question. But there's lots between here and there.
Between here and the spring election, man, you start gathering ballot signatures, I believe, on December 1st. So it's going to be game on. Game on. You think?
Game on. Game on.
Hell no, you can't take the holidays off. There's no time off in politics, Dom. It's a year-round, 24-hour a day.
It just never ends, does it?
You can take off when the Packers are playing, but only if they're above 500. So right now, you got to be plugged in.
Right. Doesn't bode well for the incumbents, does it, Michael? Or does it?
844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, welcome back, man. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paulie.
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. You guys always have a great show, and I'm not just sucking up. It's a fact.
We like it when you suck up, though. That's appreciated as well, Wisco.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. At least you take my call. As far as this, the spring elections really bother me because 30% of the people at the most, Crudy and Dom, turn out, right? 30%.
Man, I got to look. Maybe. But here's what could happen, Wisco. What if Dane County and our overvote dominates the whole turnout of the state of Wisconsin? If all we did was concentrate the Devil Radio listeners right here in Dane County and they all came out and voted in the spring election, I mean, everyone listening to my voice right now, you must vote in the spring election. And if you do so, we will have a liberal, quote unquote, balance to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And if you don't do so, chaos, utter chaos. Do what the devil says. And be well, Wisco. Come back for Devil's Advocates.
My Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take, but early detection allowed us to take control of the situation together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
My fine guest, Maggie Dawn, attorney at law. I thought that the laws of the United States were supposed to evolve with societal norms. The vast majority of Americans, 70% approximately, believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. So that seems exactly contrary to the way the courts are supposed to evolve with our nation.
I'll just say this. The guy in Colorado can't be forced to make a gay wedding cake, but I can be forced to make a baby. I don't know about you, but that makes no damn sense to me.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm just texting him back. I'm just posting a story. I'm just changing the song.
No. When it comes to distracted driving, just don't. Sending a text takes your eyes off the road for just 5 seconds, but in that time, your car can travel the length of an entire football field. Any distracted driving just isn't worth it.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Weather brought to you by the Joint Chiropractic Clinics in Madison. Catch their Black Friday specials now. Buy a package of 6, 10, or 20 visits before the end of November and get bonus visits for free. Head to the Joint Chiropractic and start feeling better today.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Scattered rain showers likely tonight, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Lows dip down to about 22. Winds out of the west, 20 to 25 miles an hour. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 28. Lows level off around 16 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy Thursday, highs around 36. 47 Friday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 50 degrees.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up right now at 844-967-2789.
Dominic and Pizza Box Mike, be patient. You're first in queue. Get in line after Pizza Box. But I've been teasing the confession made by Donald Trump on the Truthy Social last night, as it's reported here at the Raw Story. Former President Donald Trump has confessed. In an ongoing rant posted to his personal social media account on Monday, the former president admitted he stole the documents from the White House, concealed them for a year, lied to the FBI, his lawyers lied in court documents, then demanded a special master, and now a special master is overseeing a likely prosecution. Here is what he said in part. When will you invade Bill and Hillary's home in search of the 33,000 emails she deleted after receiving a subpoena from the U.S. Congress? When will you invade the other president's homes in search of documents which are voluminous, which they took with them, but not nearly so openly and transparently as I did? I mean, that's pretty much a confession right there, Dom. You know, setting aside the fact check about, 33,000 emails and the whole Hillary thing. I mean, the actual statement is a confession of sort.
The last line Trump wrote will likely be one people remember forever. Quote, they took with them, but not nearly so openly as apparent and transparently as I did, unquote. Trump has only been transparent about stealing the documents after the FBI came in to take them back and after over a year of outreach and trying to acquire them. At no point did Trump post anything or reveal anything about stealing the documents transparently. Addressing the issue on Monday was Mary McCord, the former acting assistant attorney general for the national security at the U.S. Department of Justice from 2016 to 2017. A quote, so, I think that if there hadn't been many months of back and forth with the National Archives saying, we think you have presidential records, him finally delaying delivering a couple of boxes, still not being a full return of all the boxes, a subpoena being issued, more documents being produced, certification or a declaration that there was all the documents that were in his custody, signed certification and filing a search warrant, said McCord. If we hadn't had all of that, he might have said in the chaos of moving, I didn't realize they were all there. McCord made it clear saying, quote, I thought they were mine. Isn't really a possibility anymore. She went on to explain that many of the documents being classified and marked as such are also damning for Trump. Another quote. So even if there was a Pollyanna-ish defense, he has destroyed it with his own changing stories. I think he is going to say his defense to what he said today in that True Social post is, oh no, again, I do everything transparently and openly. Of course, it wouldn't be anything I had any knowledge of that was unlawful. Otherwise, why would you not be trusted? But at the same point, that just doesn't hold water anymore. He confessed, Crudy. He confessed. But what do you care? He's going to be the Republicans' nomination, right? What is another big deal? It's just a paperwork crime. No biggie. Everything's fine. Move along.
844-967-2789. Did I mention paperwork crimes? Pizza Box Mike, how you doing, man?
Hey, Mike.
Yes, Tom, you're exactly right, which means you're wrong. I have to agree with Crudy. I mean, he's already, how many times has he confessed? He confessed to sexual assault. It didn't matter, right?
I tic-tac up. When you're a star, they just let you do it.
Yes, until he gets indicted, he is their number one guy, and I'm sticking with that. And then also...
Wait, hang on. Hold that thought. Until he's indicted. So do you think Donald Trump will be indicted, say, within the next 12 months?
You know what? No, I don't believe it until I see it, man. He should have been indicted a long time ago. Flynn and other guys should be wearing blindfolds, smoking their last cigarette, but that's not happening. Anyway, I mean, he is a military guy. Give him that tribunal. See what happens give him some of the real generals. But was it Ross? Eureka, Ross. Even though I'm smoking pure Michigan, you're right. She's not going to win. She's another religious zealot. And on that subject alone, we should be able to burn her. And aren't you guys, Devil Radio, didn't you guys win the last Supreme Court election?
Well, the Dan Kelly race, we won by 163,000 votes. Depends on which one you're talking about. We won them all that they played along with us.
Exactly. And how many satellite stations are there out there now? They're never going to win another one.
It sounds sort of notorious when you say it. Pizza Box, he is one of the fine hosts on the network. You can hear him here on the mothership, Devil Radio out of Madison, noon on Saturdays. Tune in for the Pizza Box Mike Show. And also WAUK, Caw the Shaw. He likes to say it like that. Very clever, I think. 844-967-2789. Be like Pizza Box. You could earn a moniker around here, Dom.
Just you got to call, you got to try, you got to make the effort. I appreciate your position, Pizza Box, but and maybe the passing of this bill today in the Senate, led by our fair Senator Tammy Baldwin, to enshrine into federal law protections for gay marriage. That kind of goes against what Judge Dorow said in her application to Scott Walker back in 2011, that this is, judicial actives, they don't like the butt stuff. These Republicans are still the same, right? So while they take this religious position, they're being left behind by the practicality that love is love, man. And if you Christians, you care, you say it's all about the love, you certainly don't act like it. I mean, this Nick Fuentes guy who went with the artist formerly known as Kanye West down to Trump. I know Maddow did a little bit on him yesterday. There's some, look for video of this guy. I mean, what a young POS, man. And he stands up as, I'm this pure Christian. And, no, doesn't like the Jews, doesn't like the interracial marriage, doesn't like the gays. Oh, hell no, not the gays. I mean, and this is the guy who's sitting apparently, Crudy, with the Republican frontrunner for 2024. Wow. Good luck with that, people.
And many other good people, I'm sure.
On both sides
of the divided Mar-a-Lago. Which part of that turned off the Republican electorate prior? I mean, seriously. We didn't know Trump was a racist. We didn't know. We knew. We know. Republicans seemingly, this is your opportunity. Republicans, disavow me. Make Crudy absolutely wrong. I'd love to be wrong on this topic. But my prediction is the Republicans will come crawling back to this craven cult leader when he defeats Ron DeSantis in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and a handful of the primary states. And they'll do the math and say, he's our nominee. Well, we want to steal a couple of more Supreme Court justices. Trump's our dude. We'll be doing ads for him? Mitch McConnell, because he has no conscience either. Really, they're all sellouts. Prove me wrong. They won't prove me wrong. They are sellouts. Thanks for listening, though. Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Glad you could all be a part.
Crudy. Trump won't make it to Iowa, man.
You going to the Trump rally in Iowa? With I'm taking you, man, because you made a bold statement.
You can't make me go.
And I double dog dare you to do something about your lack of representation in the 8th. Just saying.
Grand theft, fraud, I think a jury will find it stealing.
It's no big deal.
Hey, Brad from Zero Res